Well, while he's doing that, I'm just going to do a couple more key points of my
Yeah, go ahead.
opinion on what's
Absolutely.
going on. Um, and just as a fan, my very first Bama football game that I ever attended in person was Nick Saban's first year. And that
Yeah.
game specific in the specific game that we were in question of is a game that said would never happen again, and it never has happened again.
Yeah.
But and that being said, that's the Louisiana Monroe game. My first ever Bama football game was Louisiana Monroe.
Well, it almost happened this year with USF.
Yeah, it did. We luckily, got back on track, and I just 72 years old, having to deal 14 hours straight of not only taking care of a complete football team, but trying to meet the needs of the players with this NIL that's going on. It puts a lot of strain on you, and
Yes, it does.
someone of that age, it probably wears on them a lot quicker. So it's going to make them a lot tired, a lot quicker. And
Mm-hmm.
this is the first time you ever heard anything about Saban saying he's tired.
No, yeah. I was going to ask you, did you listen to his interview that he gave?
I have not heard his interview yet. I need to go and look at it. It happened while I was at work, so I wasn't
Man,
able
I,
to.
I wanted to take some clips from that and play it on the show tonight. But if y'all haven't watched it, y'all need to go to YouTube and check out the interview that he did with Reese Davis. I'm telling you, man, it was very humbling as an Auburn fan listening to it. The man was very humble. He did not have any sadness to him, very professional. And there was one point they asked him, it's actually the first question. Reese Davis goes, let's just get out of the air. Are there any health issues or health concerns? And he said, no, me and Miss Terry are perfectly healthy. There's no health issues. It was just the right time.
And that
So,
when it first happened, I was like, "There's something underlying, health
yeah,
wise. There's got to be
yeah.
if he's just so abruptly doing this."
I thought the same thing. And, I remember you and me had talked. It may have been after the SEC championship game. And you said, all right, it's time for the old Nick Saban to come back because he hasn't been the same in, 2 or 3 years. Ever since he got COVID, he's been completely different.
I think it was the Iron Bowl. It was after the
It,
Iron Bowl
yeah,
because
okay.
he just had that very calm look on his face, and he wasn't the same old, in your face when you do something bad. It was, whatever.
Right. No, yeah, you're right. It was the Iron Bowl. But I mean, Haley had commented on it, and I think my mother-in-law had actually commented on it too. She said that he's just been real calm. He hadn't been the typical Nick Saban that he has been. And that was another question asked to him about what led to his decision. Was it NIL? Was it the transfer portal? Was it the college football expansion and all this, or the playoff expansion? He said it was none of that. He just said he had always told himself that when he got to the point where he couldn't mentally keep up with the game, it was time for him to go. He said when he was younger, he could go to sleep at 4 a.m. and get up at 6 and perform all day and outperform everybody. He said, but now that he's gotten older, it's a lot harder for him to do that. And Miss Terry told him, it may have been after the Iron Bowl or after the Georgia game, that he needed to slow down before he killed himself. So that probably was a factor in it. Thomas says he sounded relieved in the interview, and he looked like he was perfectly content with his decision. I agree with that completely. He, I don't think he has any regrets. I mean, good gosh, he won 6 national titles at Alabama. So I was going to put this stat up earlier: 6 national titles, 9 SEC titles, and he coached at Alabama for 17 years. So 15 out of the 17 years, he won some sort of title at Alabama.
Yes,
Dude, that's impressive. It doesn't matter who you are. There's nobody out there who's ever going to repeat that.
no, and I'll be the first one to tell you, I would never, ever, ever want to be the coach going into this role after Nick Saban.
No, and I was thinking that too. Because Dan Lanning, he was our number 1 pick when I sent you the notes yesterday, but he had announced today that he's going to stay at Oregon. It's actually a smart move because you don't want to be the coach that replaces Nick Saban. You want to be the coach that replaces the coach that replaced Nick Saban.
Right.
You know, because you're going to have let me explain, and I don't want it to sound like I'm saying that he's going to be forgotten about, because he's not. But whoever steps in that role, if something's not done right, Bama fans will say, well, that's not how Nick Saban would have done it. Oh, I wish we had Saban back, all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
That coach comes in, gets fired. The next coach comes in. It won't be, oh, well, Saban would have done it that way. It's, I'm glad he's here to take the place of the guy who screwed us up.
Right.
If that makes sense.
And, that's going to go back to the whole Saban saying he's still going to be behind the scenes and helping out the team as much as he can through this transition. So he's going to try and make it as easy as he can for the next coach.
Oh, yeah, of course. And
from what I've heard, they've been in talks with coaches for a while, trying to find the right guy. Yep. So this has been an ongoing search, just for the simple fact the time was coming. They just didn't know when.
I agree. Now, since you brought it up, who is the right guy? Because, you and me talked yesterday. We had a list of Dan Lanning, Steve Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin, Dabo Sweeney, and then the coach from Washington. I can't remember his name. Starts with a K.
Yeah, it's like Colin knows. What is it?
Real quick, I forgot his name too. I heard it. They would talk about it all day today on Paul Feinbaum.
Yeah. They talked about it all day today on Mac and Cube this morning.
Kalen DeBoer.
Yes,
DeBoer.
Yeah.
So he is now the front runner, from my understanding.
Well, for the last I heard, it's between DeBoer and Norvell.
Yep. Now, let me ask you this. Do you really want to hire another Mike? Uh-oh, you're cutting out.
Yeah, you cut out real quick. I think
there we go. That's better. Yes, I got jokes. No, I asked him, if y'all didn't hear, I said, do y'all really want to hire another Mike? Because you know how it happened last time. But Mike Norvell would be an interesting hire because of what he's done at Florida State. But he hasn't had the competition level of Florida State that he would have at Alabama.
That's my biggest concern, and like we talked about it yesterday, my 1-2 is going to be Dan Lanning, Steve Sarkisian.
Mm-hmm. That would still be my 1-2.
2 picks that I know for a fact we would not get without losing NIL money, and then we would not be able to pay the players what we need to pay them in order to keep them. So
I agree. And look, man, I love Lane Kiffin. I wanted Lane Kiffin at Auburn last year.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Yeah,
Lane would be a good hire, but part of me didn't want Lane Kiffin because I knew that this day would come sooner rather than later. And if he took the job at Auburn and say if Saban retired next year and he'd be offered it, he'd bolt for Bama. And so I don't want to have to be looking for another head coach in 2 years. However, Lane Kiffin, he would definitely bring that offensive spark. But I don't know, man. I think he would be great at Alabama. But there's something that just – and he would jump ship quickly. He would leave Ole Miss quickly because Ole Miss couldn't compete with the money that Alabama would pay him.
And that buyout's not as big as everybody thinks it is.
No, it's not. He only
in terms of it's big. Don't get me wrong, it's big. Mm-hmm. But for a school like that ain't nothing. No,
it's not. And I could see him coming to Alabama, but I would make, of course, Dan Lanning's already told you no. I would make Steve Sarkisian tell me no before I contacted Lane Kiffin. And I've heard people throw Kirby Smart's name out there. He's not going to leave Georgia to come to Alabama.
No, he would be stupid to leave Georgia.
If he leaves Georgia, it's going to be going to take the Atlanta Falcons job because they can pay him twice what the University of Georgia's paying him.
Well, they're talking about Mike Vrabel's taking that spot.
Oh, really? Wow. So we'll get back to Nick Saban real quick. But so there's been 3 head coaches step down in the past 2 days. Pete Carroll stepped down from the Seattle Seahawks yesterday. Nick Saban stepped down from Alabama yesterday, and then Bill Belichick from the New England Patriots stepped down today. 3 legendary coaches. Now, again, I'm going to go back to the kid in me. When I heard Pete Carroll retired, I was excited because I'm a 49ers fan and the Seahawks have been a thorn in our side for the past few years.
Right.
And then, of course, Saban's been a thorn in everybody's side. So, but I think that I kind of feel bad for Pete Carroll because when Saban retired, it kind of overshadowed Pete Carroll a little bit.
Yes and no.
And give the man his dues. I mean, he's a great coach, but he's not Nick Saban.
Well, both of those coaches have one thing in common.
Their age.
No, that's Belichick. But no, it all comes down to two different plays. You have the play in the Super Bowl where they should have ran it up the middle because they were pretty much on the goal line. They should have ran that one. Throw the pass, it gets picked off by Malcolm Butler. And then Saban running the call that he called in the Rose Bowl on 4th down in overtime.
Yeah.
A designed quarterback run with 4 yards to go. I would have done a dump pass in that situation.
So I heard that play call wasn't actually the right play call. It was supposed to be an RPO to the running back, but the snap was low and Milroe had to pick it up and just make a decision with it. Because, y'all center, for some reason, man, has been having bad snaps all year.
He ain't our center no more.
No, I know he transferred, didn't he?
He's at the Ohio State University.
Oh, good. He can start hiking the ball over his head. I don't think anybody likes Ohio State. Now, I will tell you this. As an Auburn fan, when Nick Saban first came to Alabama, I hated it. It's bittersweet that he's leaving, and I don't mean that in a negative way. He could have gone out, winning one more title. Yeah, sure, he could have. But he even admitted today that mentally he just couldn't keep up with the pace of the game anymore. Couldn't keep up with college football at all anymore. But I will tell you one of my favorite Nick Saban memories was from about 3 years ago. It was during COVID, the year y'all played Ohio State, when that Ohio State coach said something about beating them Alabama rednecks to death. That was one of the few times I said roll Tide. It really was, because he beat the dog crap out of Ohio State. And I'm like, dude, don't call us rednecks. Just because we live in Alabama don't mean a dang thing.
Right. Nah, when I'm up, it's a little emotional because one of the last football games that I ever watched with my grandfather, or the last football game that I ever watched with him, was that game.
Yeah.
The one where Bama it was the COVID year and Bama had, ran the table with Ohio State. And so that one stays with me forever. And to know that Saban has done that for, I've heard a lot of people calling in saying how much he influenced like families and everything with bringing them together and giving them all something to have in common and everything like that. So,
yep.
I mean, just for that, I really do appreciate Nick Saban.
Oh, and I appreciate Nick Saban, and I'm not an Alabama fan, but I appreciate what he.
How many times you gonna tell everybody you ain't an Alabama fan?
What he brought. No, I'm not. I appreciate what he brought to the sport. Like, I didn't realize what Nick's Kids was all about until I heard it today, man. I mean, he and Miss Terry build homes for people who can't afford them. And they feed the homeless. And I heard Steve Spurrier talking on the Paul Feinbaum today. Nick Saban donates like half of his money to charity. I mean, he's a really good dude, despite how he acted on the football field. But that was a competitive nature in him.
Right.
We'll just get a couple of comments here. Thomas says Kalen DeBoer would be great, but my only fallback with him is he doesn't know the culture down here, being from the West. Brian Harson's a perfect example. Yes, I agree with that.
I was just about to say that sounds like a Brian Harsin issue to me.
Yep. Nick, where'd he go? Jonathan Whitfield said, watch out for a no-name coach to come out of nowhere. I don't think they would do that. I mean, not that they wouldn't want to take a chance. But I mean, you're replacing Nick Saban, so you're going to have somebody in there
Well,
that's pretty
to
top notch.
stay on that comment for a minute, Auburn did just lose a running back coach.
I know, and we're about to probably lose a defensive back coach and our defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator. But I don't think Carnell would do that. I really don't.
That
I'm
would
not
be.
saying he wouldn't, but I don't think he would.
I don't think Alabama would do that just because of the
No.
inexperience.
Yeah, no. They're going to want
I
somebody
was
with
saying
experience.
that as a joke because of him leaving today, the day after Nick Saban had announced his retirement, and it just kind of
Yeah.
like, haha.
Yeah. Nick says Milrow blew that RPO, and then he said Saban is still going to have his hands in the program, look for a young guy to take over, and Saban molds him. Rumor has it they may promote Tommy Rees. I have heard that about Tommy Rees.
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, I read it today. They've considered promoting Tommy Rees, and Nick Saban even said that part of his interview that he's still going to be around. He's going to be in Tuscaloosa, and they're going to give him an office in the stadium. And he told one of his players, he goes, "Don't think that I can't chew your butt from that office just like I did on the field." So he's got his mind of who he wants to be the coach. And let me ask you this: speaking of coaches. I heard his name mentioned earlier, and I don't agree with it because of the lack of experience, but I've heard a lot of people saying Deion Sanders.
Now, I know somebody personally who has been saying that, give it 5-6 years or whatever of him coaching like he is and the relationship him and Saban have.
Yeah.
That would have been an option. I never thought it would be an option. I never thought it would be a good fit. Yes, you're going to have players go to where Deion Sanders is coaching just because it's Deion Sanders. But at the end of the day, I don't think he would be the right fit for someone like in a university of that caliber at the end of the day. Like, he needs to pretty much stay in a Colorado or, something like that's just kind of, until he gets a lot more experience.
Yes, I agree. Now, with that being said, is Nick Saban still going to do the Geico on the Aflac commercials with him?
I don't know. I hope so. But I also so here's what I think is going to happen. I think you're going to get Nick Saban in commentary for a couple of years.
He even said earlier in the interview he wouldn't mind doing that with Reese Davis.
And then after that, and then when Greg Barnes' contract is up as athletic director, Saban's going to take that role over.
Haley and Debbie said the same thing, that he would end up being the athletic director at Alabama.
I've always thought that.
It wouldn't surprise me one bit if he did that for real. I mean, he knows talent, and not just at the football level, man. I mean, he played baseball and growing up, so he knows baseball coaches. He knows basketball. He's just a very intelligent person, and he knows sports. Yeah, he would be a great hire as a athletic director, but I don't know how long Burns has left on his contract, or if he's going to get fired, or if he's going to move on. So we'll see. If he hires the wrong coach, I can see him getting fired.
Yeah.
Nick said bingo on your comment, by the way, about Deion. If Mike Norvell leaves FSU for Bama, look for Deion to go to FSU. Nick, I totally agree.
Now that
Deion's waiting for FSU to open.
That would probably be the spot for Deion.
Absolutely, man. Deion's been waiting for an opportunity to go to Florida State. All right, man. Let's we do have some people watching. Let's open up these phone lines. The number is showing up here, going across the screen. If you want to call in, feel free. We'll discuss anything you want to talk about. I do want to ask you, man, what do you think? I mean, we talked about Ryan Williams earlier, but how many more players do you think are going to transfer or decommit with all this going on?
Honestly, that's really hard to say because everything's just so up in shambles right now. Mm-hmm. I don't want to throw out like a high number because I don't think it'll be that high. So I'd say probably good between 5 and 7 more we might lose. That's just kind of like a roundabout, where I'm thinking. Could be more, could be less. I don't know.
And that's to be expected. I mean, Saban recruited these guys and promised them stuff, and now he's retired. These guys are like, well, if he's not going to be there, I'm going to go play elsewhere that I can get something that I want. Now, I am a little bit excited about Ron Williams decommitting because his second choice was Auburn, and now he visited with A&M today because I believe that's where the wide receivers coach from Alabama went to. I believe, but Auburn is his last visit before national signing day, and with Bryce Kane and Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson, if Ryan Williams were to sign with Auburn, they would have a dynamic wide receiver core. It would be like the year y'all had oh gosh, what are their names? Y'all had Henry Ruggs and y'all had
Ruggs, Devontae
Smith,
Judy.
Yeah, Judy. Yeah, I mean, y'all had a freaking all-star cast of y'all had an all-star cast of wide receivers. So, I'm kind of. It's going to be different.
I thought you were going to go further back.
Yeah, well, I was trying to, but I couldn't remember. I mean, I don't follow them that much, but I mean, I do remember players. But, It's going to be different seeing Alabama next year without Saban on the sidelines.
Oh, for sure. But I hate that I didn't get to see him coach one more time on that field.
Oh yeah, of course. I think everybody's kind of like that. They wish they could have, watched him coach or whatever. But I don't think Saban has any regrets, man. I don't think that he's looking back at his career saying, "Oh man, if we would have done this thing different, if we would have done that different." I mean, he's arguably he is the best coach of this era. And you can argue and say that he was better than Bear Bryant.
Easily argue that one. I mean,
it's a legit argument.
He's got, let's see, I can't remember all the numbers, but I know he had more first-round draft picks than
45.
49.
I think it was like 49.
Yeah.
Dang, that's a lot.
Yeah. And it's going to.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think Bear Bryant was under him with like 30 something. I think
maybe
20 something.
And football was so much different back then too.
But no, it was that one. There was obviously the rings.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the winning record as well. He's got more first-round draft picks under his belt than he does losses at the University of Alabama.
Yeah, that don't surprise me. I don't think Haley heard that. Did you hear that, Haley? He said that Nick Saban has more first-round draft picks under his belt than he does losses at Alabama. He only had, 31 losses?
21.
21? Dang, in 17 years, 21 losses. His only two, I would say, his 7-6 season was his first year. So, yeah, that was a bad season. But 2010 was the only other season that I remember him losing more than 2 games in a regular season.
Yeah.
He's just got that something to him, man, that coaches have tried to replicate that. Now, I will say this. Nick Saban is the blueprint of just about every college coach in the game today. Everybody tries to model his game plan. He even said it in his interview, man. People would, they would circle Alabama on the schedule every year and say, hey, if we don't beat anybody else, this is the team to beat. That's the kind of legacy he left. So it's going to be interesting, man. Well, let's get into some of these coaching hire rumors we heard, and I want to kind of get your take on who you think would be the best other than the obvious two. We know Dan Lanning is out. We know Kalen. Is it Kalen? Kalen DeMore?
Yeah.
I know Kalen DeMore is a possibility. We know that Mike Norvell is a possibility. Sarkisian, he's a possibility, but the thing people don't realize is Texas has just as much money as Alabama.
I was about to say, if not more, and it's not that oil money everybody talks about. That's A&M. Texas, they just got I don't know where they get their money from, but they got money.
Yeah, they do. So if they want Sarkisian to stay, they'll match what Alabama's offering.
Oh, for sure.
So who would be your top three? No, we can't count Dan Lanning now, so we got to take him out. But who would be your top three now?
My top three now, I would still have Sarkisian in there, just for the simple fact that's who I want. It'd be Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin, and I'm trying to avoid the Mike. I really am, because Mike's and Bama, they don't mix. So I'm trying to stay away from the Mike Norvell, although I feel like he could do something. I'll leave him at an honorable mention, but now when you say this, are you talking about like could possibly happen or what I want to happen personally?
I would say could possibly happen. I mean, we can sit there and have a wish list all day long, because if I had to pick my head coach for Alabama, it would be Brian Harsin. Sorry, I had to do that. Look, real quick, Nick said Sark's buyout is like $60 million at Texas.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
it's
Bama's got the money, but so does Texas.
Exactly. But at the same time, if you spend that money, you lose it on your recruits.
Exactly. So maybe them bringing in a younger coach wouldn't be a bad thing, because you could pay him less money and spend more money on getting better recruits and better assistant coaches.
Right. So to finish it off, I mean, if we could take Josh Heupel away from Tennessee,
really,
maybe.
Okay.
I feel like because he's got something going on. Don't really know what, but he's got something going on there in Tennessee. So I mean, I'm gonna take that ugly creamsicle orange, whatever, and put him in some crimson and white.
What about James Franklin? I've heard his name tossed around too.
Did you see what he did at Vandy?
Yeah.
Him and the SEC don't mix.
No, they don't. What about
he is perfectly fine up there in the Big Ten.
Yeah. Dabo Swinney's name was like the name a few years ago, but he's kind of down now.
He doesn't spunk that he had with recruits anymore.
No, he doesn't. He's kind of fizzled out a little bit. I don't know.
I would love to have Kirby Smart, because he was under Saban for the longest time, so he knows more than anybody about what Saban has conjured up.
We got Thomas and Nick going back and forth on here. Nick said, "Never mind, it's only $5 million for the buyout." He said, "Urban Meyer's a dark horse." Thomas said, "Absolutely not." And Nick said, "No, James Franklin."
Yeah, no James Franklin.
Your brother. Yeah, James Franklin. I don't think he would come either. And I mean,
he wouldn't last.
He's a Vandy, but no, he wouldn't last. I mean, he loses big games like Gus Malzahn did. I mean, Gus was great, but he would always lose out one game a year he wasn't supposed to. But then he would always upset a team that he wasn't supposed to win against either.
Right. So like that catch-22, he would lose to a New Mexico State. Yeah, I did that shot at you, but he would.
That's fine. We deserve it.
But then he would turn around and beat Alabama, beat the brakes off Alabama. And it's just like, what?
So, man, if I had to pick, Sarkisian's definitely my top 5. I think the Kalen DeBoer guy it would be great because of what he's done at Washington. But then again, it was the last year of the Pac-12, and he didn't really play good, solid defenses like he's going to face in the SEC. Kirby Smart is a definitely not. I wish he'd leave Georgia and go to the NFL. As an Auburn fan, I wish he'd leave, which ain't going to happen. But
man, you know how mad Auburn fans would be if we ended up getting Kirby Smart.
Oh my gosh, man! If we were mad enough when y'all got Nick Saban. If y'all got Kirby Smart, it would be just like a daggone deja vu.
Especially after rolling the trees in celebration of a retirement of a head coach for.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Team.
I'm glad you brought that up because yesterday I made a comment of how disrespectful that was. until I heard on the round table earlier, Doug Amos was talking about that. He said Auburn fans rolling Toomer's corner was a shout out of respect for Nick Saban because of how legendary he was. I mean, think about it. When y'all fired Mike Dubose or Mike
Shula.
Mike Shula, we didn't roll the trees at Toomer's corner. We could care less. But when Saban announced his retirement, it was like the ending of the greatest coach in history. And so that was I don't see how he said it was a tribute to him, but I don't know. I don't know.
That was a celebration that he is leaving the University of Alabama and they don't have to see his ass no more. That's exactly what that was.
I think every SEC school was probably excited about it, but
yeah,
especially Tennessee. I mean, they beat Saban once in the 17 years here. No, twice, because I think they beat him in the first year.
Yes, dope.
But 2 out of 17 years, Tennessee beat Alabama. We can say that we did that, but we beat y'all more than that. I think we beat Saban 3 times.
3 or 4.
3 or 4, yeah. I know it was 2007 was the last year we beat him when he made that run. And then 2010, 2013, and 2017. Yeah, 4 years. 4 times out of 17.
I feel like I have one more win. No?
No, 2019. We did. Yeah, 19.
Yeah, 19.
That was a high-scoring game. That's right, 2019.
So 5.
Nick said, I'd rather just get Lane Kiffin. Look, I still think Lane Kiffin wouldn't be a bad hire. He's great. He loves the press. And the press loves him.
He wouldn't be a bad hire, but he would only be as good as an 8-4 team.
I don't know, man.
I just feel like that's where his ceiling really is.
Maybe, but I mean, look what he's done with Ole Miss the past few years, and they're a much worse team than Alabama.
That's true too. But he's also he also doesn't have that weight of predecessing Nick Saban.
Yeah, he would take it to spite Nick Saban and say, "Look, I'm going to be better than you," because of how competitive he was when he was there with Nick Saban. But he's got a lot of respect for Nick Saban, for sure.
Oh, I know.
I mean, Saban gave him a second chance,
and as he gave a lot of.
Yeah, he's given a lot of coaches second chances. Yeah, absolutely. He's like, you may not be on the field, but you could be on my staff as an analyst.
Mm-hmm.
And they soaked up that man's knowledge and took it off and became great head coaches.
One of the stupidest things that I seen today
was that
about a candidate to become the next head coach. Butch Jones.
Haley read that last night about Butch Jones. I was like, people are joking. She goes, no, this is a serious thing. Tennessee's old coach.
It was.
It was a joke. Haley said it was a joke.
Well, CBS reported it.
CBS is dumb. They're mad because we left them with ESPN.
I know that. I'm just saying that's who wrote the story about it. It was a CBS thing. I was like, nah. But I'm good.
Man, here's the thing, though. Getting back to like coaches having to fill that man's shoes. This was probably the worst Alabama team he's had in a while. And he took them to the semifinals. It was within seconds of going to the national championship with a mediocre team.
And I'll be honest with you. Yes, there were bad snaps, but some of those bad snaps, Jalen Milroe should have been able to do something with it.
Oh, I agree. I mean, realistically,
I'm not 100% sold on Milroe.
No,
I'll tell you that
a lot of people aren't.
I'm not.
A lot of people aren't. I tell you, realistically, man, Alabama should have finished the season 8-4, 9-3, but they somehow every game found a way to pull it out. I mean, they were, and I don't mean to say that to be mean, but they were mediocre at best. And Saban did whatever his magic and was able to take them to a one-loss regular season, and then beating Georgia the way y'all did in the SEC championship was freaking impressive. It really was. That just says what kind of coach he is.
Right.
So do you think he would ever come out of retirement to be a coach again?
No. I think he's done.
I don't think he would either.
If he did, it wouldn't be at Alabama.
No, it wouldn't be at Alabama. It would be a slap in the face to y'all, though, in a sense. If he did, I could see it being the NFL, but I don't think he wants to go back to the NFL.
I don't even think it'd be the NFL.
You think he'd have another project?
I think he would go back to his roots one more time. And he would, maybe go back to Michigan State.
They need a coach. No, Nick says CNN reported it. And he said fake news, Trump voice.
That's good.
Milroe is the best athlete on the field. They can't play him like a passing quarterback. I agree with that. I completely agree with that. All right, man. Go ahead.
I was just back to the Milroe thing. He's got the legs and he has the arm and distance. His problem is accuracy. He's just fortunate enough to have receivers that can get underneath the ball. Prime example, 4th and 31.
Oh, shut up. No, that was I agree. I mean, he's got the arm, but he didn't really have a good offensive line this year to protect him. He had decent receivers, but I noticed, man, like Haley and Debbie even said it, that Milroe spent most of his time this year running, trying to avoid sacks. It seemed like, anyway. And then when he got benched on the USF game, that was basically Nick Saban was proving a point when he did that. But when he got benched, everybody started talking, see, I told you Milroe wasn't the guy. I told you he wasn't the guy. And then he ended up being the guy and doing a fairly decent job with what he had.
Yeah, he did. But, I don't know. It's just his decision making.
Yeah.
Isn't the greatest when it comes to like whether to throw it away, tuck and run, and all that. He just his initial thought is to just lay down.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do that. That's what causes a 4th and 31. That's what causes, close games that shouldn't be close. That's what causes you to lose to a game or to a team like Texas.
Yep.
To an Auburn team taking you to overtime.
Yeah, I agree.
It's and that's not a knock at Auburn. It's y'all's first year with a new coach.
Mm-hmm.
Your quarterback situation is god awful.
I hope it gets better next year.
He's already named Peyton Thorne the quarterback.
Well, he did until the bowl game.
So
he's after the bowl game. He's reassessing the quarterback situation. When we were talking about Jalen Milroe a second ago, how he got benched, Nick said he proved a point by showing that there was no one better behind him. Also heard he had an attitude problem early on. I don't know about the attitude, but yeah, that's exactly why he benched Milroe. Was like, he's the best option we got. Y'all want to see somebody else? Okay, fine, we'll put him in. And Saban was prepared to lose that game just to prove a point.
Yeah. And that goes back to another thing that made Saban great. He had enough faith in his team and the way he coached them that he could do stuff like that and still pull a game out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Even though it was a game that they should have blown him out of the water 57-3.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
But
it's crazy, man. College football is changing, with the SEC going to ESPN next year, 12-team playoff, no divisions in the SEC.
Yeah,
And then this, I mean,
I'm still trying to figure out how they're going to do that.
It's
Are
gonna
we
be
are
weird.
we going to are we going to keep the Auburn Alabama rivalry? Are we going to keep the Bama
Yes.
Tennessee? Are we going to keep the Georgia Auburn?
Yeah,
You know,
so
are we keeping those rivals?
there's protected rivalries that they're keeping. So they're keeping the obviously they're keeping the Iron Bowl, the Auburn Georgia game, the Alabama Tennessee game. They're bringing back the A&M Texas game every year. Texas and Oklahoma are still going to play every year. So there's some, but see, Auburn and LSU won't play every year, and Alabama and LSU won't play every year. So
Right.
they're keeping certain rivalries, but they're also going to have them to where other ones are played like every 3 or 4 years. So that's going to be interesting, man. You know, I was thinking earlier. Go ahead.
I just hope to see where we're not waiting 14 years to see a Georgia again, or 14 years to see a Florida again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they're going to rotate the teams every year. So they've got it set up, I think, to where you play each team every 2 or 3 years.
Gotcha.
I think is how they do
I
it.
haven't, because I haven't heard how they actually are setting it up. I know that they
Yeah.
had like kind of a mock. They had like 4 different scenarios where they had like
Mhm.
pods and
Yeah, the
stuff
pods
like
is a
that.
horrible idea. So I think
That one. Whew.
I think
When I
that
looked
each
at that one, I
team.
got confused.
Thomas said they're keeping those rivalries staying at 8 games for the first year, or possibly move to 9 conference games after the first season. I think they're keeping like each team has 2 protected rivalries, and then the rest of the SEC games are rotated.
Gotcha.
So you'll play LSU like every 2 or 3 years probably instead of every year.
Yeah.
So, but man, one thing that crossed my mind the other day, or not the other day, yesterday, was there are some people that's only known Nick Saban as a head coach at Alabama. Like young kids, 14, 15-year-olds, that's all they've known was Alabama. I mean, it was Nick Saban. So it's gonna be a shock for everybody to see who they hire, how he handles himself, who he gets as his assistants, if he can keep the team together. I don't think anybody's expecting this person to live up to Saban's hype, but I think they are going to look for somebody that can be molded into the next big coach.
Right. That that made me think of a video that I'd seen. Funny Man, the one that does the Bama
Yeah, he's
reaction.
funny. Yeah.
He made a TikTok where it was like when Bama's next head coach loses the coin toss, and it's him ranting about saying how he wants Saban back.
He's funny.
Saban would have done it the other way, and it was hilarious.
Oh yeah. Well, man, I'm glad I was able to talk to you about it. I hadn't really talked about it that much at all today. I've been busy at work. Haley don't really talk about it. I'm sure she's probably not happy about it, but she's not. I ain't gonna say she's not upset, but she understands it. But it's good to talk to people, especially Alabama fans, who can give me their take on it, because some people. I was gonna say this before we get off. When I was at drill last weekend, we were talking about the playoff game, and one guy goes, "Oh man, it's time for Saban to go." I was like, "Really?" Because he lost the playoff game? He goes, "Yeah, he's lost his passion. He just needs to go." I was like, "You ain't gonna say that, or you're gonna regret saying that when he does leave." So I'm curious. I'm gonna ask him next month if he still agree with
Still
that
thinks
comment.
the same. Yeah.
And
let's see, when was it? When I think it was last year, the year before last. I can't remember. But whenever we were having the troubles with the quarterbacks and everything, and everybody was like, "Oh, Saban, he's got to go. He's got to go. We need to fire Saban."
Mm-hmm.
And or the defense was horrible, or something like that. And it was like a couple of years ago, and I was just like, "No, that's stupid." You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I agree. 100% agree.
But
well, man, go ahead.
Before we sign off, I just want to take a minute to say thank you to Nick Saban for everything you have done for the University of Alabama. It has meant so much to so many fans for the past 17 years, and what you have done as a head coach for that program. We hope to see you doing well. We hope to see, you still around like you say you're going to be, and see how everything turns out. But I just wanted to say thank you for all those years of great football and a great, just a great program all around. Thank you so much, Nick Saban.
That was very, very heartfelt. So, yeah, I want to say thanks too for the memories, just the legendary coach that he was. And I want to thank you for leaving so now we have a chance of beating Alabama every year.
No chance in hell.
All right, Vince. So next time we'll be at y'all. We'll be going live, hopefully in 2 weeks when the Royal Rumble is on TV. The PLE
Next week.
I think it's January 27th.
That's right.
Yeah, January 27th. We're going to try to go live 30 minutes prior to discuss all the matches and give our takes on who we think is going to win the matches. And then we may live stream it, but we can't obviously show the TV for copyright reasons. But we can show us watching it and kind of do like a commentary thing of what's going on in the match and who won. That's perfectly legal. So if y'all are interested in that, y'all watch wrestling, please make sure that y'all join us for that. We'll send stuff out about it. And I'm going to get my wife on there to watch it because she loves Randy Orton. And I want to see her face when he gets pinned by Roman Reigns. She also loves Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. So we got a mixed household here when it comes to pro wrestling. So, but guys, I want to thank y'all, Nick, Thomas, all y'all who are commenting on here. Thank y'all for staying up late watching this. Next time it won't be so late, I promise. We're going to get a better schedule. But we haven't done a show since the Auburn, Georgia game. And so it took me a minute to remember how to set the software up. But we appreciate it. Steven, if you want to say anything, man, before you go, feel free.
Yeah, thank y'all for commenting, and hanging out with us and, giving y'all's input on it as well. We hope to see y'all next time. And just wanted to say thank y'all for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. And we're going to post links on the comments for our X channel or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And then also our YouTube channel, so y'all can check that out. And then we're working on getting Twitch as well. So when we come back to y'all next season for football talk, we'll have all that stuff up and running with an intro. And hopefully, I ain't going to say hopefully because I don't know. But maybe we'll have one up for the wrestling thing we'll do in a couple weeks. All right, guys. Y'all have a good night.
Peace.
Oh, man. Haley.
I'm not going to lie. When I was going on my little thank you, coach, I started tearing up.
Yeah, I think about going to edit to put a tear in your eye. When you started talking, I did it to where it was just on you, but I hope it picked you up. If it didn't, I could probably go back and fix it.
Yeah, I felt like I needed to say that.
That's fine, man. That's fine. Haley, when I called her yesterday, I said, "Hey, you sit down." She goes, "No, why?" I said, "You may want to." She's like, "Why?" And I told her. She goes, "Oh, okay." And I came home, there's a freaking huge hole in the wall.
Are you serious?
No, she didn't punch a hole in the wall. She don't take it that serious.
I was like, damn.
No, she don't take it that serious. Man, I've been talking about wrestling now. I've been reading some rumors about potential winners and surprise entrants, which they have them every year. But
right,
they're talking about The Rock making an appearance, but I think he's going to show up to screw Roman out of the title.
And which would make sense for the head of the table, to where he loses it but doesn't get pinned.
Exactly, and that's why they're doing it. Like they're going to have it. Where Triple H is pushing is with the Fatal 4-Way, having The Rock come out, distract Roman Reigns, and then while he's been distracted, Orton pins AJ or LA Knight and wins the title, and then he faces Cody.
Why it gotta be Orton though?
Well, he makes the most sense. He makes the best feud for Cody other than Roman. Yeah. But
LA Knight.
Yeah, I like LA Knight too, but I mean, he makes the best choice because honestly, man, when Orton wins it and then Cody, even if he doesn't win the Rumble and challenges Orton, or they can turn Orton heel and they can have an awesome feud building up to it. They really could. Now, my concern is if CM Punk really is predicted to win and he challenges Seth, who's going to play the heel? Because they both make great heels.
Punk.
I could see it too because they're talking about bringing AJ Lee back. So I told Thomas the other night, I said I could see them making a new straight edge society.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
And yeah, I could also see Punk AJ Lee versus Becky and
Seth. Yes, that's exactly what I said too. Be the next power couple in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
As long as he behaves himself, man, he'll do great.
Oh yeah.
I think he will, though. He seems like, from his promos I've been watching, he's a lot more humble. And he seems to legitimately enjoy being there. Of course, he's only been there for 2 months, but.
Did you see the McIntyre?
Dude, that was an awesome promo. Like, since he's been back, because Punk just hasn't shown the old Punk, but Monday, that old CM Punk came out with that promo. That was a really good promo.
It really was.
I'm hoping they keep Drew McIntyre around, but there's talks that he's leaving after WrestleMania.
Is that why he's been acting the way he is?
Yep, because they haven't renegotiated the contract yet. He's wanting, I think, another title run, and Triple H is saying it's not time yet. So that, I think he wants more money. But, MJF is supposed to is rumored to make an appearance at the Rumble. Like, he's coming to WWE.
Which makes sense because his contract's up at AEW.
Yep. So it's going to be exciting, man. But I will say this. Ever since Triple H has taken over, without Vince, I actually look forward to watching wrestling again. And I haven't been this excited about it since the Attitude Era. That's how long it's been since I've actually been legitimately excited to watch it.
Right.
I've even got Haley to watch it with me. She watches it anyway, but I really got invested in it again with the Bloodline storyline last year with Sami Zayn when he was a heel and then he was trying to get out of the Bloodline. That's really when I got back into it.
I mean, my thing is when it's football season, I don't watch wrestling just for the simple fact that it's football season. Yeah. Like Monday Night Football.
I don't really watch the NFL. I haven't watched a single NFL game this year.
I do.
I used to watch it all the time, man. I used to follow it religiously, but I don't know. All the sports are changing. It's getting almost ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not as into it as I used to be, but just honestly, the main thing that takes up my time now is video games.
Yeah, I don't play games as much as I want to, but I was really disappointed that college football didn't even release a trailer for the national championship.
Oh, dude, I was so pissed.
I was too. That's what, and I didn't even watch the game, but I was seeing. I went on YouTube the next day to watch the trailer and nothing. I was like, really? I don't know. I hope they're not teasing us and saying us, getting our hopes up and then it not happen. But they would lose a lot of credibility if they did that. Because they know they're going to make a ton of money off that game. I've even heard rumors that when they come back out with that they're going to end the Madden franchise, which I don't see happening. But
who do you think will be on the cover?
Now, probably Nick Saban. Now that he's retired, probably Nick Saban. He deserves it. Why not?
Yeah. But would he want it?
Would he want it? Probably not. I mean, he's the kind of person. He's very modest, man. He don't care about all the fame and all that stuff.
Right. He just does it because he has a passion for it.
Exactly. Yeah, I could see him being on the cover, but if not him, who won the Heisman this year? Jalen Daniels.
No, Jaden Daniels. Yeah.
But if he goes pro, then because Cam Newton went on the 2011 cover because he won the Heisman the year prior.
Right.
The thing was Mark Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, Mark Ingram was 12.
Was he on 12?
Yeah, I think he was on 12.
Yeah. He was, yeah, because I think it was it Tebow? It wasn't Tebow. Tebow was like 8 or 9. I can't remember, but I remember Cam Newton went on the cover because he used to put the Heisman Trophy winner from the previous year on there.
Yeah.
So, but now that NIL's out, man, they ain't no telling.
Right.
So they may come out with like different covers, like different editions or whatever, and you can buy the like premium edition or whatever and have different content or something like that on there. Man, there's no telling. They can make so much money off this game. They really could.
For sure.
And the WWE 24 is supposed to come out in like March. So I'm looking forward to that because CM Punk's going to be in the game again for the first time since, what, 2013?
Well, they're saying it's not going to be Bray Wyatt on the cover, and I'm kind of disappointed in that.
I've heard mixed reactions about
I've
that.
heard Cody Rhodes.
I've heard Cody, I've heard Punk, and I've heard that they're going to do a special Bray Wyatt edition.
I know because you know how they have like the showcase?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be Bray Wyatt.
It should be. That was a sad, sad day, man.
Dude, you have no idea. That's why he's still he's still my profile picture on Facebook.
Oh, I know. It's still unreal,
That one hurt.
man, to believe. Oh, yeah, heck
That
yeah,
one-
it hurt.
That one hurt.
Yeah, it really did.
Like, I sat in my car when I heard the news. I sat in my car for a good 10 minutes crying at that one.
Yeah, I was. It was a Thursday or Friday when he passed. I don't think I was at work. I was at work, but something I think maybe we may have been at Walmart or something. And Haley goes, "Who's Bray Wyatt?" And I said, "He's a pro wrestler." And she goes, "Who is he?" I said, "The Fiend." She goes, "Oh," because we were talking about how he passed away, and she asked me who he was. And she goes, "Oh yeah, I remember him." It was just unreal, man, because he was making his recovery, and then all of a sudden, boom.
He was supposed to be coming back in the next month.
I know he had. What happened was he got COVID, and it made his heart condition worse, and he ended up having a heart attack from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It is what it is, though, man.
It is what it is. It be what it be. It do what it do.
It was his time to go.
Mm-hmm. Now I do really like.
Good.
Now I do really like the fact that he got the Legends contract.
Did he?
Yes. So anything related to him, his kids and family get.
That's right. I did hear that. That's right.
So
that's good. I mean, shoot, they did it for the Ultimate Warrior. They need to do it for him too.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, the Ultimate Warrior was going to get that anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, all right, man. I'll keep you posted about the whole Royal Rumble thing. It's an idea I'm tossing around. I think it'd be pretty fun, especially if we can get Haley
I think
on
it
here.
would be fun. Well, I mentioned it, and I have this thing where, Chris, the one that came with me to Raw that night.
Yeah.
He'll come over and watch the pay-per-view with me, so I could probably set us up in the kitchen at the dining room table because we can get a clear shot of the TV, and we could just share the mic and he could sit in with me. So
yeah, I'm probably gonna obviously do it
if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all, man. I don't mind at all. Is he gonna have the same camera? Or is he gonna have a separate camera?
Same camera.
Okay.
We're gonna be on the.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna kind of play around with how I'm gonna set it up, but I've got some time. I can make like an intro for it and some graphics when we talk about it. That thing would be pretty fun, and that way we can have our wrestling personality come out, not our football personality.
Right. And the Royal Rumble's the best time to do it.
Dude, that's my second favorite pay-per-view next to Mania.
Like,
sometimes it's better than Mania.
The Royal Rumble and WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Just because of the people that come back.
Yep. And
that is,
I mean, even though last year's was very predictable, it was still a great show.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised though, man, if Damian Priest catches in at the Royal Rumble. Like for real catches in. But I don't think he would win it because they won't Punk versus Seth for the title at Mania night 1.
Right.
So, which they're probably gonna let Seth win that one, unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't know. It would make sense for CM Punk to win it because considering he left with the title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he can win it back. I don't know. It'd be fun to see.
So we'll see.
Yeah, man. All right, dude. I'm gonna get off here and try to convince Haley to go to bed. She's been painting the whole time.
All right. I'm gonna probably step outside one more time and then go to bed myself just because I don't know if I'm working